All right, here's Steve Sarkisian. Yesterday, update on Cedric Baxter, the Longhorn running back who's been out since the UTEP game with a hamstring injury, missed all of last year with a knee injury. Here's Sark on the fact that he's listed as probable on the availability report this week, and here's Sark thinks he will be a factor in the game tomorrow at Mississippi State.
Yeah, I thought he's looked good in practice, and I thought he's gotten better and stronger as the week's gone on. You know, the soft tissue injuries, to your point, are tricky because the player coming off of them, they're trying to figure out, can they really push it, right? And so, and I credit our medical staff and the rehab process, because we pushed him really good over the last week and a half before this week, and to get him his confidence right to where he felt like he could go. And I felt like from Monday, Tuesday to Wednesday to today, his comfort level of pushing that to a degree to where he felt comfortable that he could really play at a high level, which was important. You know, we're obviously fortunate to have Trey to combo with Cedric, and then, like I said, Christian Clark's really been coming on. And so again, I don't envision C4 walking out of there with 20-something carries, okay? But if he can play in this game and be effective and be an integral part in some critical situations on regular downs, but especially in some special situations, I think that would be really beneficial for our team. I think it would be beneficial for Trey to take some of the load off of him and keep him fresh for 4 quarters. But also from a leadership standpoint, you know, Cedric is a great leader, and the guys really respond to him. And so the fact that he gets to put his uniform on this Saturday and play with those guys, I think is going to mean a lot to him, that he's not going to be in street clothes on the sidelines.
All right, so Cedric Baxter will be a factor. He's not going to get 20 carries, and I don't know that we'd anticipate that at all. Same time, you know, he will probably split carries. And that was, if you go back to the Ohio State box score, Jack, that was the plan, right? You said Trey Wisner will be your leading ball toucher from the running back position, most likely. Certainly now with Jared Gibson leaving the program, and now you have Cedric Baxter back. They'll ease him back in. But I would guess 8 to 12 touches for Cedric Baxter tomorrow. But, you know, if he does, you know, you can't underestimate what he brings. We just heard, you know, Sark say it from a leadership perspective. He's one of the more respected guys in that locker room. He's the one thing that the way Cedric Baxter was described to me when he started as a true freshman. His old soul. He's kind of like you, Jack. He's an old head. He's an old soul.
Yeah, over Jonathan Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks. Yeah, and he won the starting job. But he just has a really mature mindset, and that's a good thing on a team full of young guys. He does bring that, and he's also your best pass protector as a running back, and so he can help.
Extra lineman wouldn't help this team.
Yeah, somebody who can get in the face of a linebacker, because they're going to
close on the sideline.
They watch the Kentucky tape. I mean, they're going to test that Texas offensive line and try to come after Arch Manning in any passing situation. You can have number 4 back there to help keep our Arch clean, because that's the key, right? As we've said, if you can block it for another half second or second, there's plays down the field to be made. Open receivers, and Kentucky, you just couldn't get him there. Florida, you just couldn't get him there. But I do think this will be more of a quick passing game. This is going to be a challenge, right? Let's hear Sark too on the unity of the team. One thing, while Longhorn fans are pretty upset about the performance on Saturday, and rightfully so, it was still a win, and Sark called it a culture win, and one that he thinks is important. He was asked about the team bonding and the team, because the question that he was asked in this answer, Jack, was, after the game, where the offense was so bad, maybe the worst offensive performance in a win or a loss in the Sark era and Sark's years here. They won the game, and then people in the press conference afterwards were asking the players, Colin Simmons, who had another big game, the defensive players who won the game essentially, along with the special teams, what about this offense? You get frustrated at having to carry this offense, and Colin Simmons, most particularly stepped up and said, no,
yeah,
we're a team.
Great answer.
We win as a team. We win together. It's offense, it's defense, special teams, and offense. We're all together on this. They're going to pick us up at some point, and that's Sark. That's where he called it a culture win here. Sark, when asked about that, this team coming together for one another, knowing everyone's got to play better if they want to get where they want to go.
Well, we had a lot of different faces last year.
That was his talk about what happened last year to this year. But here's Sark on the team coming together and finding a way to win a tough game on the road and what that can mean for them moving forward. Steve Sark and the team building that they do to build that at the 40 acres.
Basically.
Yeah, I think a lot of that process begins in the summer, right? We do a lot of that Culture Wednesday work throughout the summer. I think that process builds throughout training camp, and a little of that is kind of the family tough love because there's no opponent, so there's some friction there. And then when the season begins, you start to grow them back together again. And part of the things we do exercises every Friday before we go to our team hotel or before we go on the road, and we do culture activities and we do things that should naturally pull them closer together, whether they're writing note cards of appreciation to somebody or inspirational note cards to another guy on the team. We try to get out of ourselves and we try to serve others. In return, you get what you're supposed to get, and we really preach, through team successes when the individual accolades, awards, and honors come from. And so the better the team does, the more recognition our guys get. We win. There's more SEC Players of the Week. We're doing well as a team. Trey Moore is nominated for the Campbell Award, and so on and so forth. It's like pour into the team. You'll get what you want in the back end. But I do think some of the exercises that we do throughout the weeks as we go, I think are helpful as well.
All right. Well, the exercise needs to be blocking and tackling. They tackle pretty well. They don't block very well right now. If they could get the blocking part down or a little bit improved, and there might be some offense, which they're going to need tomorrow. As a 7.5 point favorite at Mississippi State, Cedric Baxter will be back. And I think it's fair to say they can't play worse than they played last Saturday on the offensive side of the ball. I guess they could, but that would be hard to imagine.
What was their one drive, like 8 yards?
Yeah.
To get into the end zone because it was
5.
a punt return?
Yeah, about a 6-yard drive.
Right.
6-yard drive.
I don't think that's going to cut it against teams that aren't the worst team in your conference.
Yeah, well, their scoring drives last week where they scored 16 points were a 5-yard touchdown drive after a long punt return.
Nice.
They had a field goal drive of 6 plays, 40 yards to kick a field goal, which was huge. And then, of course, in overtime to win it, they had to go 4 yards from the 25 to the 21 to kick a 38-yard field goal.
And don't forget, they were in 1st and 20 there.
Yeah, they had a penalty.
So.